Welcome to Inside Rice University. I'm ANOOSHA MOTURU. As you can tell, summer is in full swing here at Rice, and we just wrapped up a very busy spring semester. In the next 30 minutes, we'll highlight some of our unconventional seniors and their high-tech design projects. Also, Rice Owls football gained a special team member, and he is full of energy. But let's start out here at the Rec Center, where a Rice researcher brought a famous Gulf Coast reef to campus with a little ingenuity.
This is Intro to Aquatic Ecology with SCUBA Lab. This is the first moment of scientific diving. We are doing aquatic ecology. We're asking questions in aquatic ecology, and most of the time using SCUBA to try to answer those questions.
In terms of what I want to do in the future, this is really helpful. And it's also a really cool class because, if you had to take a class in a lab, an upper level lab class, why wouldn't you get SCUBA certified? You get to go and swim in a pool, you get to go to some pretty cool sites. We're gonna go do some actual dives.
What we've tried to do is basically just bring the reefs here so that people can see them in a different way than out of a textbook. I think it's about as close as you can get without being in the ocean. These are life-size, 1-to-1 scale coral reefs from the Flower Garden Banks National Marine Sanctuary in the Northwest Gulf of Mexico.
I'm actually in two separate classes with Adrian, and one of them we surveyed the reefs on land because the students in that class don't really have scuba experience. But in this class, we all are certified now, and so now we can go in the water and do a real full-blown survey of reefs. It's my dream to kind of survey reefs in the Caribbean as part of a study abroad. So this is kind of really good practice for that.
Having this dimension of 2D reefs in a pool allows students to use the tools that scientists use underwater to ask ecological questions, and it also sort of pulls the curtain back and helps them to understand just how complicated logistically it can be to do aquatic research.
Underwater, you're not in as much control as you would think. And so you do have that weightless feeling, but then also you're weightless, so controlling just with your breathing going up and down is fun, but it's also sort of difficult.
Everything is much easier on the surface.
It's so awesome to have someone like Adrian here. I think she's the reason that I kind of decided this is what I wanted to do with my time here at Rice. This opportunity didn't exist last year. She just created this out of the blue. She knew that we didn't have the opportunity to work with reefs being in Houston, and she just kind of creatively figured out this way for us to study reefs, and it's just such an awesome opportunity. We're really lucky to have it, and it's all thanks to her.
Another Rice researcher is exploring pollution in the city. Let's hop in as he takes us along for the ride.
Well, this is a mobile laboratory. What we originally built this for, our project, the AQUATIC project, which is the project that the health impacts project, looking at the health impacts of aerosols throughout the whole Houston region. What we really want to do is get a picture of what's going on with trace gases and particles all throughout the Houston area. This is a really hot area for human health impacts because the refineries are right there. You've got all these houses right here. There's a whole bunch of air toxic compounds around in this neighborhood, like benzene and toluene and xylene, and there's also we observed quite a lot of particles just down the road a little bit while we were measuring here for a month. So Rice is doing two things. First, we've got the high-resolution time-of-flight aerosol mass spectrometer, which measures the chemical composition of submicron particles. And so we're doing that on the University of Houston mobile laboratory. So University of Houston provides the mobile laboratory, and they house our instrument. And then all the data that both Rice and the University of Houston are collecting will then be passed on to environmental sociologists, Professor Justin Denny and Rachel KIMBRO, who are at Rice, and they're going to look at use that to look at the impacts that the pollution that we've measured has on the people. We've been driving all around the city, so we've been driving, up north in Conroe on, arterial type roads and in neighborhoods and on freeways. So we've driven all around the whole Houston metropolitan area. And then for setting up and doing stationary measurements, we've used RV parks. So we've found RV parks all around the circle that is Houston, and we've set up and monitored for 2 to 3 weeks in different parts of Houston. So that's how this project, that's what we've been doing for the last year and a half in terms of measuring.
Next up, a seashell inspired Rice University engineers to study the strength of new materials for anything from new nanoscale electronics to buildings.
You see a seashell, we see a teaching tool. Nature has a particular structure that creates such a lightweight composite with excellent mechanical properties, such as high strength and high toughness, properties that don't typically coexist in man-made materials. Even so, several efforts have been devoted to mimic nature's structure. There have been no clear design guidelines that could possibly provide a predictive design strategy to minimize expensive trial and error approaches. However, we have been able to create a design map that clearly shows us how to combine various materials and structures to build artificial nature. Moreover, this map allows us to nearly exhaust the full capacity of the composites components for the best synergy in the ultimate mechanical properties.
This material has something inside it that is very interesting to us. It is called nacre, and it is found in the inner layer part of this seashell. It provides the balance between different mechanical properties. That's a question we've been answering in this research. How to make materials in a way to balance different mechanical properties such as stiffness, such as strength and toughness.
So to validate our theoretical predictions, we created several platelet matrix composites with different dimensions and different materials, and by pooling them in the shear mode, we were able to prove our theory and where they break, thus providing further validation for our design maps. Our map has a significant impact in altering the bio-inspired material design landscape and is also applicable to a wide range of composites used in auto industry, aerospace industry, and construction materials.
A Rice astronomer is getting a new look at star formation in our next story with some really breathtaking pictures.
Most stars, like the Sun, are born in molecular clouds that also create high-mass stars. These high-mass stars are very important because they affect their surroundings by emitting large amounts of ultraviolet radiation. This radiation goes out into the molecular cloud and actually evaporates and disperses the cloud and creates these spectacular kind of structures like walls and pillars and so forth. And you may have seen these types of pillars before with images with the Hubble Space Telescope, the so-called pillars of creation. One of the problems with analyzing those types of images, though, is that you tend not to see these interfaces very well because of large amounts of dust that are in these regions. But if you look in the near infrared at just the right wavelength, which is the wavelength of a particular line of molecular hydrogen, you can actually see through the dust to these areas where the ultraviolet radiation is dispersing and evaporating the cloud. There's a particularly good example of this in the southern hemisphere, which is the Carina molecular cloud, which is something like 10 times bigger than what you may have seen in the pillars of creation images. And so what we've done with these images is we've imaged this entire region, which is much larger than one could do from the Hubble Space Telescope, and we've looked at it in the infrared so that we can see all these different structures. When we do this, we see a wide variety of things, from structured walls, through fat pillars, through these kind of skinny pillars, and then also they get detached from their molecular cloud. So you can actually see how the ultraviolet radiation is sculpting these types of structures from the overall molecular cloud. And we think that the Sun probably formed in a region like this, which was affected by the surrounding massive stars. By that I mean the ones which are more than about 20 solar masses. Those types of stars, they don't live very long, but those are the ones that blow up into big supernovae and have large effects in the overall galaxy. In fact, in this particular cluster, Eta Carina, which is a very famous massive star, might be the next supernova that will go off in our galaxy. So by looking at all these different types of structures, we're getting a much better idea as to the types of conditions that happen when our own star formed, and we can really look in at the interfaces which give us an idea as to the physics about what's going on.
In our next story, new research from Rice sociologists takes a look at the effect on eviction in families in our country.
So evictions are an aspect of poverty that is not talked about as much as some others. But in reality, millions of American families are evicted every year, primarily in urban areas. And so with this study, we set out to try and look at not just what prompts an eviction, but what the consequences of evictions are for families. And so we used national data called the Fragile Families and Child Wellbeing Study of about 5,000 mothers and young children. The data tracks those people across time, so we're able to look at them across a long period of time, across about 5 years of the child's life. And so we could see what happens to the family after they experienced an eviction. And what we found is that families who were evicted experienced a whole host of negative consequences that spanned the gamut from physical health to mental health to material hardship, which is a type of extreme poverty. Immediately after, or in the year following an eviction, mothers were more likely to report being depressed. They were more likely to report that their child was in poor health, and they had higher rates of material hardship and parenting stress. But what was really unique about the study is that because it followed the same families over time, we were able to see what happened to them years down the road. So up to 2 years after the eviction, mothers were still twice as likely to report being depressed as similar mothers who had not experienced an eviction. So we hope to bring awareness to this issue of how prevalent it actually is, to bring it out of the shadows. And we're hoping to raise awareness for the idea that families who are experiencing an eviction need legal help. So unlike in a criminal case, families are not able to access a lawyer who can help pro bono in the same way. So if we had policies where families who were going through the stages of an eviction could have legal help, it could really help prevent these families from being evicted in the first place. And that's important because of all of these negative consequences that we see, not just for the parents, but also for the children in the family.
At the forefront of education stands a small school with a big story. One of pioneers, leaders, and entrepreneurs, of Oscars, Pulitzers, and Nobel Prizes. A story of the world's most brilliant minds working together to challenge convention, making discoveries that will change the course of history, and innovations that will change everything. Rice University, advancing the world with unconventional wisdom.
Welcome back to Inside Rice University. The class of 2015 recently graduated with a lifetime of memories and immeasurable knowledge. Let's look back at their commencement ceremony.
Four years ago, we all came in during O Week, 18-year-old freshmen. It's unbelievable to know that finally all that hard work has paid off.
For me, this graduation is like the big next leap forward. Back in high school graduation, we all knew where we were going. We'd already been accepted to colleges, but now it's like, it's just the future. It's terrifying.
As we commence our real-world lives, then, are we expected to self-orient? No. We've already been oriented in an epic 1-4-year-long orientation. For me, that means I'm going to keep my schedule open for improvisation. I'm not going to triple major. And I'm going to start doing hot yoga.
You have accomplished more than you now know. You are capable of even more than you might believe. We thank and congratulate you, the great class of 2015, and look forward with anticipation and confidence to the lives of impact that you will lead.
4 years of friendships that, even though we're walking out, aren't going to end.
4 years of family for him.
Yeah. I think walking through that sally port, I think it's really going to hit me. I'm going to be like, wow, I graduated from Rice. I don't think I'm ready yet.
As we leave Rice into the world, we'll be accompanied by a major or two on our diplomas, a decimal on our transcript, and a laundry list of entries on our resumes. But as we walk through the sally port, I think the most important thing we'll take with us is that feeling that's within us. That feeling that maybe, just maybe, we've been profoundly affected and changed by.
I learned to believe in myself, and it is the ability to believe in yourself and push yourself to finish what you've started that will allow you to affect change.
We touch every nation, and every nation touches us. And as long as we continue to enrich ourselves with new generations of leaders such as you, we will be on top. We are counting on you.
Very tearful and very proud of my little girl.
This is a very special day. My grandfather, he couldn't be here today. He passed away, but this one was for him.
This one is for my dad. His greatest ambition was to see her educated, and today's a great day for him. He's looking down on us, and he's smiling wherever he is.
Congratulations. I think what Rice has given him is amazingly superb. Gave him a foundation to build on, and we couldn't think of any better choice for him than Rice.
Rice drew it out of him what was already in, and I think from now he can soar.
So many stories from the class of 2015. Here are just a few samples from our series profiling some of our unconventional seniors.
My name is Reed Thornburg. I'm a senior, class of 2015 at Hansen College. I'm in art history and Spanish and Portuguese double major with minor in mathematics.
I didn't come from a family of musicians. I only started because of my mother, who played when she was very young, but didn't have the opportunity to continue. Now I'm pursuing a career in music, and it's just kind of an amazing thing that the only reason that I started playing was because of a seed that was planted with her.
I came out of high school and was recruited all across the country for different schools. And for me, it just came down to the academics of Rice, and I just couldn't pass up the opportunity to come here.
So I'm a first-generation student, and my parents came from a little ranch in Mexico, you know, with a couple hundred people that live there. They're just really, really proud in that sense of seeing me grow as a person and seeing me grow from this, you know, little kid that was, you know, running around in ranch fields picking oranges to where I am right now in this great university.
You know, as a scientist, we have a lot of obligations, and coming into Rice, I got to meet a club called Rice and Power, and what their job was kind of doing K-12 outreach. Science is something that, I guess, ultimately benefits all of society, and it's really important for scientists to be the ones that go and explain this, because when you have a scientist who's really passionate about their work and knows what's happening, who can explain it well, I think that gets people really engaged and really excited.
It wasn't really a challenge. It was just convincing the doctors that I'm healthy, because every day you don't see someone who's 4'9" trying to walk onto the Division I football team. Well, one of my coaches from high school, Rodney Smith, he told me that it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. So when I encounter people, maybe 50 plus pounds heavier than I am, it's not that big of a difference.
I made a good choice coming to Rice, and I would definitely pick Rice again if I had the chance to pick again. I really needed this feeling of everyone being really warm and like really accepting, and this helped me a lot to make this transition from Turkey to the US. Rice played a huge part in it. Here, like, people were so helpful that I've never felt like coming from a different culture had never been a problem for me.
You show up your freshman year and you're put in a room. I was put in a room with like a music major, a science major, an English major, a Mechie. And it was like, you've got to like find a way to be friends with all these people. And everyone's just, everyone's just doing crazy things. And so it's just awesome to be in this environment where everyone's so passionate about what they're doing.
We all have these amazing things about ourselves. Like being a human being is a really amazing thing. And coming to Rice, you can be the really amazing thing that you are.
Want a peek into the future? Check out some of the engineering design projects Rice undergraduates worked on this past year.
The reason why I chose engineering in the first place was to be able to make a difference and being able to build a product that would be able to help people.
We're a team of 6 electrical engineering students working on the senior design project. It is a device that could potentially allow severely hearing impaired to perceive auditory information.
I'm with Team INCUBABY, a multidisciplinary group of senior engineers here at Rice University, tasked with designing a low-cost neonatal incubator for the developing world.
We were tasked by the Houston Zoo to create an enrichment device for the swamp monkeys at the Houston Zoo.
We are a freshman engineering design team. Our name is Comfortably Numb, and the story behind that is that we are tasked with numbing the skin immediately before an injection, and we're all fans of classic rock music, so that's where that comes from.
This is what would actually exist for the transport team.
So inside this casing that's on the knee, we have a motor that as my leg rotates, it spins the motor way faster than my leg is going, which generates some power. After a bunch of little magic in here, we store energy in this battery right here.
Our team's goal is to take that pain out of parking for everyone, the driver and the parking operator. Because the problem right now is just that drivers don't have this information, where can I park, but also parking operators have no way to provide this information to them. So we decided to create a new technology that can identify where open parking spaces are located.
What we've built is a 3D radar video camera.
One thing that's really exciting is that we've kind of created this system where the patient has this app on their phone that allows them to be constantly connected to both their device and their physician.
To be just a freshman being able to do this incredible thing that's actually going to change the lives of some birds and end up, working with the zoo, an incredible place that I visited a lot as a kid.
There's no way I would be doing this anywhere else.
There's a lot of advantages of coming to Rice.
Concrete could be permeable, filtering rain into the soil instead of our lakes and streams. Or that a mathematical equation could open our ears to music we've never heard. Or that a happy home could cost less than a family car. Who knew we could build an elevator to space? Rice, unconventional wisdom.
Welcome back. Ziggy, a 7-year-old leukemia patient, signed with the Rice Owls football team this spring. Let's follow along as Coach David Bailiff welcomes him to the team.
Let's get this started. I tell you what, we're really excited today. This young man's been wrestling with this decision, and he has finally made the choice. He's chose Rice University. We're so excited, and we want to welcome Ziggy to Rice University and the Rice football family. Thank you, Ziggy.
There's
for letting me be part of the team.
All right.
I think for Rice football and for our athletic department, the significance is just a reminder that every day is a day to be grateful for, and every day is a day to fight.
All right, then Ziggy, we're going to need you to sign right there to make this official. Right on this line.
I just want to thank the Rice University staff and football players for taking us in, like I said, from day one, and everyone else I reached out to make this happen for my son. Thank you so much. It means everything to me. Try not to get emotional.
What's up?
Welcome to the family, man.
Yeah. Hey, that's our team. That's my team?
Yeah, what's your team?
Did you get all your gear today? Yep. Good. We signed you, you're sealed, you're delivered, huh?
Part of the team now.
For him to go through it twice, I think, and to have such a positive attitude and such a fighting attitude that he does, I think it's just a constant reminder of the things to be grateful of, and that the things that get us down or the things we struggle with day to day typically aren't quite as big as we make them out to be. And he's a reminder of what's really important, which is, you know, family and our health and just being there for each other.
Sit. Good. All right. He's already got good. He already got right. Good job, Ziggy.
You know, we're all put here to make this world a better place. And when you have a platform where you can make a child smile, it's the most important thing there is in the world. As important as winning is, it's a lot more important to give back, especially to the youth.
Grab me on two.
1, 2, family. Here we go. Let's go to work.
Thanks for joining us on Inside Rice University. To learn more about Rice and any of these stories, visit us at rice.edu. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with all of the things going on at Rice. Before we go, Mariachi Luna Llena, Rice's award-winning mariachi band, played to a packed house. Let's have a listen.
Yo como te recuerdo en mis locos desvelos, le pido a Dios que vuelvas. Yo como te recuerdo, será porque aún te quiero. Espero que tú escuches esta canción.
Hace 2 años empezamos con esta canción. Esta fue nuestra primera canción. Here we go.
Y no será la última.
Yo sé bien que estoy afuera, pero el día en que yo me muera, sé que tendrás que llorar. ¿Cómo dice? Que no me quisiste, pero vas a estar muy triste y así te vas a quedar. Con dinero y sin dinero hago siempre lo que quiero y mi palabra es la ley. No tengo trono ni reina, que me comprenda, pero sigo siendo el rey. Thank you all so much for coming.